When did you realize your best friend was addicted to being the victim? My best friend had cancer during my job interview, a stalker during my wedding, and a miscarriage during my bridal shower, which would be tragic if any of it had been real. Cassandra and I met in middle school when she saved me from eating lunch alone in the bathroom, and from that day forward we were inseparable, until I slowly realized that every milestone in my life somehow became about her tragedy. The pattern started small in high school when I got the lead in the spring musical, and she suddenly developed vocal nodes that required immediate surgery, even though she'd been singing perfectly at rehearsals the day before. When I got into my dream college, she had a mental breakdown about her parents' divorce that had supposedly been finalized 3 years earlier, and needed me to defer enrollment to support her through this difficult time. I went anyway, but spent my entire freshman orientation on the phone with her, while she sobbed about seeing her dad with his new girlfriend, who I later found out had been his wife for 5 years. Then when I started dating Victor junior year, Cassandra was suddenly being stalked by her ex, who was leaving dead roses at her door and sending threatening messages from blocked numbers. I rushed home from my anniversary dinner to comfort her, only to find her calmly watching Netflix with the dead roses still in their store wrapping with the price tag attached. When I got my first real job offer at a marketing firm in the city, the emergencies took a medical turn. The morning of my final interview, Cassandra called hyperventilating about finding a lump and needing someone to take her to the emergency room immediately because she couldn't die alone. I missed the interview to sit with her for 6 hours while doctors found absolutely nothing wrong, but she'd already posted about her cancer scare and raised $800 on GoFundMe before the ultrasound came back clear. When I confronted her about the fundraiser, she accused me of not understanding how traumatizing health scares were and kept the money for her emotional recovery expenses. 3 months later, when I finally secured a different position, she developed a mysterious autoimmune condition that only flared up during my important presentations and somehow required my immediate presence despite her having other friends and family members available. The symptoms always miraculously disappeared by the time we reached the hospital, but not before I'd missed another crucial career moment. My engagement to Victor should have been the happiest time of my life, but Cassandra turned it into her personal tragedy showcase. The day after our engagement party, she claimed her mother had been in a severe car accident and needed emergency surgery, but when I called the hospital, they had no record of anyone by that name being admitted. During my bridal shower, she locked herself in the bathroom claiming she'd just miscarried a pregnancy nobody knew about, and made my mom drive her home while my guests sat there uncomfortably eating cake and wondering if they should leave. The week before my wedding, she outdid herself by sending fake threatening messages from a burner phone claiming her ex had found her new address and was planning to hurt her if she attended my wedding. She forwarded screenshots to our entire friend group and my family, creating a panic about security and whether we should involve the police. My mother actually suggested postponing the wedding for everyone's safety, while Cassandra posted cryptic messages about true friends being there during your darkest hours. I went through with my wedding anyway, and she spent the entire day posting about being abandoned during trauma and how she was hiding in her apartment in fear while everyone celebrated without her. Then after my wedding, Cassandra called me sobbing, and for once she sounded genuinely terrified instead of performing her usual theatrical hysteria. She'd been diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer and needed someone to come to her oncology appointment because she was scared and alone. I stared at the phone thinking about the fake cancer scare during my job interview and the edited medical documents she posted on social media for sympathy and the GoFundMe money she'd kept for emotional recovery expenses. She texted me photos of pathology reports and hospital wristbands just like she had before, except this time she swore on her mother's life they were real, which she'd also done before. The friend group she'd manipulated for years had blocked her number assuming this was another performance, and her family was exhausted from rushing to fake emergencies. She forwarded medical records and test results and appointment confirmations, but everyone had seen her Google search history for how to fake medical documents and remembered the Photoshop tutorials she'd bookmarked. Cassandra kept calling and texting increasingly desperate messages about starting chemotherapy alone and needing someone to drive her to treatments. I believed you 13 times when you were lying, so maybe someone else will believe you the one time you're not, I said calmly. She sobbed that she knew she'd done this to herself, but she was actually dying this time and had nobody because she'd cried wolf so many times that even real wolves couldn't save her credibility. But you taught me that your emergencies always matter more than my milestones, I said, and now your real emergency matters less to me than my peace. The last text she sent before I blocked her number was a photo from her chemotherapy chair completely alone.